A very warm afternoon to each and every one present here. I'm Nishant, and we are back with yet another round of Vox Populi debate. We are a student led organization with the motive to instill creativity, inspire our young minds, and also talk about various issues that need to be discussed. We have successfully conducted multiple competitions, be it debates, be it group discussions, be it these workshops. To stay updated with our future events, you can contact us on the personal numbers that have been provided to you, or you can also text us on our IG page, that is Vox Populi Group. Now that you all know about us, without any further ado, I would like you all to send us an emoji describing your current state of mind at the present moment to show your excitement. We can see a lot of emojis that are coming in the chat box. Some are very interesting. We can see how excited you are. So let us just get into it. Feel free to screenshot anything at any given point of time.
Now that you know about us, let's begin with the main topic for today's workshop. To start with, let's find out what really is a debate. A debate is a formal argument about a particular motion in which one side speaks for the motion and the other against it. In a debate, people express contrasting opinions about a motion, which is usually based on a matter of concern. For example, environmental concerns, social concerns, etc. In this workshop, we'll cover the parliamentary form of debating, where two teams comprising of three members each compete against each other in successive rounds of debating.
Parliamentary debating is a bit more detailed than what a lot of you are used to. You don't simply get a topic and debate on that. I mean, you do, but there is a whole process. So let's walk you through that and simplify it. Please pay attention to the next 2-3 slides carefully. It'll take a second. Firstly, a coin toss is done, and wherein the teams are requested to choose their preference before the toss, i.e., heads or tails, just like any other normal toss. The winner of the toss gets to choose their side of the debate then, i.e. proposition or opposition. Now, what are these terms and what do they stand for? Well, proposition stands for anyone that is in favor of the motion. That means they are for the motion. The opposition stands for anybody that is against the motion or opposes the motion. Following this, the adjudicator will recite the motion for the day and also present it on their screen for the duration of the preparation time. The motion refers to the topic of that particular debate. Now, I'll give you an example of a motion just so you're more familiarized with it. For example, a motion could be, this house believes that all citizens should have access to guns. Now, one team, which is the proposition, would be speaking in favor of handguns, and the other team, which is the opposition, would be speaking against handguns. Now that that is clear, after this, 15 minutes are allotted for the students to prepare with their teams. You have access to the internet, but make sure that your final argument is presented in your own words. Now, lastly, after the preparation time is over, the debate is finally commenced by the adjudicators. The participants are expected to be punctual, and please ensure that you stick to the schedule. Now, that was all before the debate, but what really happens during the debate? It's quite confusing. So let me break it down for you. We have this graphic organizer that might help you understand it better, and it might seem a lot to take in at first, but let's go one by one. So you already know that each team comprises of 3 members, right, as discussed earlier. Now, the team is requested to discuss the order of speakers before the debate and inform the adjudicator of the same. So if you've got 3 members, you have to divide amongst yourself who will be the first speaker, the second speaker, and the third speaker, and so on. Now, we will discuss speaker roles shortly, but let's finish the graphic organizer first. Since 3 members are in a team, each team takes alternate chances to speak. So, like you can see in this graphic organizer, that the first speaker from the proposition team, which is the affirmative team, will go ahead. Then there'll be a buffer time of 1 minute. Then the first speaker from the opposition team will go ahead. Then another buffer time of a minute. Then the second speaker from the proposition, and so on. The teams will continue alternatively with a buffer time of 1 minute between each speaker. Lastly, after the third speaker of the opposition has finished their speech, then there'll be a time of 60 seconds allotted to both the teams, where as a team you need to compile a feedback for your opposition, for your opponent. Now make sure that this feedback is not critical and it's not disrespectful. It should be constructive, like how they can work on it better, and it shouldn't be rude or anything that's argumentative, or why they did this, and lastly, we'll end with the result for that round, depending on the round. And then the adjudicators usually give the feedback, and just ensure that these feedbacks are constructive criticism and not to be taken as demeaning you.
Now, we did come across the word buffer time in the previous slide, and you must be thinking, what is it? And clear your doubts. Buffer time of 1 minute will be given to each and every team after one speaker finishes his or her arguments. The time should be utilized for picking out or identifying opposition teams' weak points or arguments, such as false anecdotes, etc., and rebut them. This time should be used efficiently, as it might fetch you some invaluable points. The buffer time can also be used to regain your confidence, make yourself comfortable, be calm, composed, and stable.
Right. Now, now as we told you, every team has three speakers and each speaker has different roles in a team. Now we'll be talking about what roles each speaker plays. The first speaker opens the argumentation on behalf of their team and provides an opening stance. Now they can introduce their team with something along the lines of "Good morning, adjudicator and worthy debaters. I XYZ from team, and you say your team name, like say champion debaters, for example. If your team name is champion debaters, you say I XYZ from team champion debaters. I'm here to present my views on the topic provided to the House, and our team is in favor of the motion and would like to argue the affirmative. So if you are speaking for the motion, for the positive side, you say that you are arguing for the affirmative, and the first speaker defines the motion and provides at least two solid arguments based on their team stance. The second speaker, they take off from where their teammate left off, and they provide three additional arguments to enhance their team's view. It is recommended that the second speaker accentuate their speech using facts and figures. Like you can use uh, examples and facts and figures related to the topic to, support your speech. And a key part of the debate, of the second speaker's debate, are rebuttals, as we'll explain in detail later. And it consists of refuting the arguments of the previous speaker from the opposing team. So, like we told you, the order of the speakers earlier, the first speaker from the proposition, then first from the opposition, and then the second from the proposition. So when the second speaker from the proposition comes, they can refute the points made by the one before them, the first speaker from the opposition. And now the third speaker of each team focuses on these rebuttals itself and may also cover any additional points that have not been mentioned by the previous speakers. So the third speaker can also use anecdotes or real life examples to support their stance, and their argumentation is after the argumentation is finished, the third speaker concludes their stance on the behalf of their team and rests their case on the topic. And they can use concluding statements, like, for example, one could be, "And with that, I conclude the arguments on behalf of my team and would like to strongly reaffirm that our team is in favor of the motion and we rest our case here." So that was an example of a concluding statement. And these are just examples that I think are valid, but there are endless ways of starting a debate or ending a debate. So you can get as creative as you want with your introductions and conclusions.
Now that you know how a debate takes place, there are a few do's and don'ts that you must keep in mind while debating. There are a set of things that you should do during a debate.
First impressions absolutely matter and will set the tone for how you'll be seen as a debater. Be punctual and use respectful arguments for your opponents. A well researched and designed argument makes one feel confident about the material. Emphasize using gestures and make sure to use formal and accurate language. At the same time, you should also keep in mind a few things that must be avoided during a debate. Cue cards can help a debater to stay focused, but don't read from them. Use them as a guide. Don't use insulting arguments for your opponents. Remember that different people might have varying opinions. Avoid asking for extra time from the adjudicator and don't use informal acronyms during the debate. Now you may go through the slide and take screenshots whenever necessary. We're open to any questions now. You may write your name in the chat box and we'll call your name out.
You can also use the raise hand feature as there is a queue, so we'll be going according to the queue.
I think Adhiraj raised his hand. We'll go with him because he's been raising his hand a lot. So Adhiraj, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, ma'am. So there could be any topic between, like, for example, electric cars versus fueled cars. So during that rebuttal, we could even we have to do that when opponent attacks us, we have to make a point to defend ourselves, right?
Adhiraj, can you go again? I'm sorry, I completely missed what you said at the end. You can make rebuttals and do what?
In the rebuttal round, the our opponents if made a point to attack us, so we have to make a point afterwards to defend ourselves and not straightly attack, right?
Yes, of course. Okay, so rebuttals, guys, depends entirely on the situation. Maybe you've been asked a question by the opponent before and you have to answer that first and then rebut. So it can obviously be a defensive mode, but rebuttals are mostly, on the attacking side of the ring because you have to make points that can totally bring your opponent down, of course, without disrespecting them. However, we'll talk about rebuttals in the next few slides, so don't worry about that.
And also, guys, just remember that in a parliamentary debate, rebuttals don't have a separate round. Rebuttals are included in the arguments of the second and third speakers. Usually, the third speaker's argument contains a lot of rebuttals.
I can see Sheetal's hand raised. So, Sheetal, you are acknowledged. You can ask your question by unmuting yourself.
Sir, I just wanted to know that what's the particular meaning of a buffer time? I didn't understood that part.
um,
Uh, basically, a buffer time is a time span of about 30 seconds to 1 minute that is provided to you. It depends upon the organization that is organizing the competition, and that buffer time helps you to prepare your rebuttals. You'll get to know about everything in the next few slides. Just be patient.
See, the buffer time.
The buffer time is
Yeah,
essential.
go.
Go ahead,
Okay.
go ahead.
So the buffer time will be given to you after every speaker so that it's not very chaotic that one speaker comes, gives their speech, and instantly the next speaker comes and gives their speech. After every speaker, there will be a buffer time given from 30 seconds to 1 minute, as Nishat said. And in this time, you can discuss with your teammates about the speaker that just presented their argument. You can discuss with your teammates, form rebuttals about it. And also, if you are the next speaker who has to go up there, go in under the spotlight and speak your argument, you can take a minute to, take a deep breath and get ready with your final argument.
Okay, next we have Avalru. Those who have asked the question, you can please lower your hands.
Yes, I'm Amarup, and actually, I wanted to ask that I didn't understand the speaker roles.
All right, so guys, speaker roles is again something that is totally situation based, depends on you. However, in in a parliamentary debate, there is a team of three. So all of you will go as speaker one, speaker two, and speaker three. You decide that, no one else does that for you. Speaker one basically has a more basic role of introducing their stance, of talking about why they're in this position, why they're the proposition or the opposition, and stating a few strong arguments. When speaker 2 comes, he or she needs to bring in very strong arguments. You know, why our team supports this. That's a very strong argument with facts and figures and statistics. So that's what the speaker 2 does. He or she gives a good base, a foundation for your arguments. Now the speaker 3, he or she can obviously make arguments, but we focus that they're making rebuttals, and also that they're concluding whatever the other two speakers have said. So, you know, we make speaker roles. Of course, when you're debating, you might even forget about this. You might just write down a lot of arguments and present those. All of that is normal and it comes with experience. You won't just one day wake up and be like, yeah, we know our speaker role. It's not that easy to, you know, put that into use. But we're telling you that it's very amazing to witness a group of three who have a proper base and who have their arguments and, you know, stance, and they're like, yes, we know who's going to be first and what they're going to do. So it's a very organized way, it's a well put way of doing a debate. But that's again just a way. If you think you have better ways of putting forth your arguments, anything that can grab the attention of the adjudicator works. No problem with that. Okay,
Also,
next
if
Another thing
you'd
question.
that
want
And
I
us
would
to,
like to add is
thank you.
that
And once, can you please share the slide of that so I can get a picture?
yeah, I was just about to say that if at any point,
Thank
if your
you.
question is still not answered, we can share the slide so you can take a screenshot.
Yeah, this slide completely pins down the amazing roles that you guys can do,
Ma'am,
and it just makes it easier for you. Yes, Adhiraj, you can.
I was asking that when would the debate start? And yes, ma'am.
A debate start as in date or
Adhiraj,
time.
we'll just address your question. I think there are a lot of people before, so
Yeah.
we'll just come back to you. Okay. Nishaj, was there anything you want to add, or we can move on to Jaskirat if
I
not?
think that the slide itself states all the points that I was going to mention.
Great, great. So Jaskirat, you can ask your question now.
It will be held offline or online. How it will be?
So yes, we'll come to that in a bit. We do have a competition that we will be hosting, but that will be online. All of it will be online, so don't worry. Yes, Chetna Gupta, I think so.
I want to ask that if we will debate against other teams, or we will debate against we will debate against each other.
Okay,
No,
so
against other
basically,
teams.
you have your so each team, like we said, has three people, right? So these three people work in a team. Okay, so you work together, and there'll be another team that you're debating against. Okay, and so you both have to go. So the two teams go against each other. You don't go against the members in your own team. Is that clear? Okay.
And
Great.
what will be the topic for the debate?
The topic is allotted, like we said, 15 minutes prior to your debate. So you will get the adjudicator in the room, in the meeting, will give you or if it's being held offline, supposing, then the adjudicator will give you your topic 15 minutes prior to your debate starting. You have 15 minutes to, discuss with your team members, come up with ideas. Everything we explained in the previous slides, basically. Okay.
Yes, Jaskirat.
Sanvi?
Yes. Does every speaker have a limited amount of time to present their arguments, or they can take as much time as they require?
So ideally, yeah, Nishad, go ahead. Sure.
So the maximum time that you can speak for is 4 minutes. The minimum time is not at all confined. You can speak to about any time, but what we suggest is that you speak at least for about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Arivir, go ahead.
Yeah, so what if we exceed the time limit?
So, if you exceed the time limit by, let's say, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, like you're just closing your, or not even 30 seconds, that's too much. But if you're like, just concluding your argument, you're just finishing your debate, it's unlikely that the adjudicator would deduct your marks. However, if you're like making new arguments during your last 10 seconds of time, then you might lose marks because you're not concluding. It's important to conclude your speech always.
Yeah,
And
I think
thanks.
also, in a lot of competitions, if they are really strict about the time limit, the adjudicator may stop you in between your argument if you overstep the time limit by 30 seconds or a minute. So try and stay in the time limit and put in all your arguments and an impactful conclusion within those 4 minutes only.
Yes, even in our competition, you might hear a bell or a tap, which is telling you to stop your arguments after a point of time. So it's important that instead of ending abruptly and you just confuse what to do next, make sure you're managing your time. You have a clock running, you can check that out, or just play a clock next to you or something like that. So it's important to manage time in a debate. It shows how prepared you are. Okay, we'll take up questions in the next set. Now we have more slides for you guys for how to be a better debater. Jaskier, do you have an important question? You can quickly just
No,
go through.
it's clear.
All right, let's move on to the next slides.
Rebuttal's a key element. So, to start with, let me explain what a rebuttal actually is. In a debate, a rebuttal is a part of your speech where you explain what is asserted about your opponent's arguments, meaning you attempt to present reasons and evidence as to why your opposition's statement is incorrect. In most of your debates, you will be provided a buffer time of 1 minute after each speaker is done presenting their arguments. We recommend that you use this time to come up with rebuttals that you can add to your speech. Also, please pay close attention to not be rude or impolite while you refute your opponents, as it will result in you losing marks.
One of the most common struggles for young debaters is how to efficiently use the 15 minutes given for preparation. So, here are a few tips to help you with that. Use the first 2 to 3 minutes to analyze the given topic, read it thoroughly, and form your own understanding of it. For the next 6 to 7 minutes, research on your stance of the motion. Find various forms of argument, for example, statistics, articles, surveys, etc., to concrete your argument. But remember, all the data should ultimately be presented in your own words. After this, pen down your own opinions on the topic and why you support or oppose the motion. Use the last 2 to 3 minutes to form these arguments in an impactful manner. For example, add an impactful beginning and conclusion. Some points to note here are that during this time, dividing the content and teamwork allows you to efficiently add various arguments. Also, this format is just a suggestion. You need to analyze your capability and efficiency and manage the time in a way that suits you best.
Next up, we have a few commonly asked questions about debating. And the first one is how to grasp the attention of the adjudicator. Now, you can do this with a couple of ways. The first one is to use debating jargon. Debating jargon refers to the usage of formal words like the proposition or the opposition, and it can also refer to the usage of debating idioms like the opposition is skating on thin ice with their arguments, or the proposition's arguments, I'm at loggerheads with the proposition's arguments, both of which mean that you think your opponent's arguments are weak and you strongly disagree with them. Using such words and jargon makes you look more prepared and brings forth a pretty picture of yours in the mind of the adjudicator. Second way is to use statistics and anecdotes. Statistics are numbers and figures, and anecdotes are real life examples. This makes your arguments more believable, well put, and justified, all of which are a must for a perfect argument. Start strong, end stronger. Everyone starts well, but mastering the end is what makes you a fine debater. Starting with opening phrases and ending with a short conclusion and closing phrases is highly recommended. The next question is how to master the art of rebuttals. The first point here is to always pay attention to your opponent's arguments. Only then will you be able to actually find mistakes and point them out in your rebuttal. Always quote your opponent's arguments before refuting. This makes it easier for the adjudicator to understand your rebuttal and shows that you were paying attention and aren't just blabbering random words. Remember, a rebuttal does not mean disrespect. An insulting or disrespectful rebuttal can cause you to lose marks and even leave a bad impression on the adjudicator. Next up, guys, let's change the slide. Yeah. Now we're open to any questions related to the past few slides, wherein you got to know how you can master and be a better debater. So yeah, we'll go with just a second. Just
Yes,
Kirat, you
just
can ask me a question.
In the second slide, you said we can use the internet. Can we?
yes, you can. You can use the internet and research on research to support your motion, your stance on the motion. But remember that whatever your research is, your argument that you present finally should not be in the words of Google. Whatever you don't have to copy down the exact same thing and speak that. You can research and add points into your content, but they should be presented in your own words.
Oh,
Yes.
Anamrita Ghosh, you can go next.
It's Anamita Ghosh. Well, it's okay. I have a doubt that when we will know what is the topic of the argument.
Once you are for example, if it's an online competition like ours, once you are in the meeting, once it is decided which team goes for the motion and which team speaks against the motion, after that the topic will be given and then you will have 15 minutes to prepare on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Taisha?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, will you be giving us any topics for practice or do we have to do it on our own?
You
We
can
can
definitely, we can if you want, but people love debating in this world. If you go online and you just search topics for debating, you'll find different amounts of
hundreds
topics.
of them.
And you can of course practice with your team using those. Also guys, I want to make this clear for everyone because a lot of you are young debaters who don't know the format pretty well right now. The format of a parliamentary debating is pretty different from a basic debating that you probably do in school, wherein you're given a topic way before and you have to write down a speech and learn it and come and speak it out. That's not how a parliamentary debate works. You will be in a room with your adjudicator and your other team, and then you will be given a motion which will be related to the ongoings of the world. That's what we do at VXP. After that, you will be given 15 minutes. Now, those 15 minutes, you'll have full access to the internet. You can mute yourselves in the Google Meet and call your teammates or use another platform to talk to your teammates. You have to just keep your cameras on the whole time. And then you can simply write down your speech, research, do everything that you want. We've already given you a good stepwise way of doing that. And then after the 15 minutes, the first speaker from proposition comes forward to place their arguments and so on. So you'll have 15 minutes to prepare your debate. And in those 15 minutes, you don't know the motion before those 15 minutes. That's like when you actually get to know what you have to do. And you have to use your mind, you have to use the internet, everything in those 15 minutes and come forth with a debate after that. Are we clear with that now, the format? All right. Shravya, you can go next.
Yes. Is it possible for you to show the rebuttal slide once again?
Which slide?
The
The
rebuttal.
rebuttals.
The rebuttal slide.
Also,
Yes,
just
we can.
before that, I think adding to what Naisa, if I'm getting that right, okay, to what you had said, please also note that the topics are like, we don't have like very particular topics. Like, it will not always be about social issues. It'll be a mixture of things. It'll be social issues, it'll be cultural issues, it can be climate issues. It can be anything. So there is no really, like, there is not a curriculum that you have to follow. That's why, like Ananya had said. If you go online and search easy debate motions or debate motions to for debaters, you'll find like a bunch of sites where you'll find very good motions. So we're not saying that we'll have the exact motions in the debate. They'll definitely be a little twisted, so you'll have to use a little more of your IQ, but they'll be pretty similar.
Yeah, you can also go to our YouTube channel and check out the finals of our previous debates. There you'll see what kind of motions we put forth, what kind of arguments you see from the finalists, and that will totally help you out to set a base for yourself. The YouTube is,
What
I
is
think,
the
Vox
YouTube
Populi
channel
Club. You
name?
can go there.
We
Sorry?
will post the link to our
Yeah,
YouTube
we'll send you
channel
the
in
links
the
to
group.
everything.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
have a question. Can I ask that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
If we choose the opposition team, but after we know the topic and we want to go to the proposition team, what we will do, right? That.
You can't do that. That's a tricky thing. You cannot change your stance after you see the motion. So it's basically luck because we know sometimes it's difficult for one side. We try not to make such motions, but you will come across such motions in debates where maybe the opposition has better points, maybe the proposition has better points. But in that
I
case,
think
it's
it's
totally how yeah. You
yeah,
can.
so I was just saying that I think the motions that we'll be giving, they'll be very subjective. That means that we won't give you a motion if the entire team does not believe that, both the sides, like the opposition and the proposition, both have like solid arguments. Because we also will create like this, I don't know if you have it in school, but like the sort of like marking scheme or like a argument set where we discuss that, right, this point should be mentioned, or like they could mention this, for opposition, they could mention this for proposition. So the adjudicator will be well versed with the motion, and we'll try not to give you, like a topic that is uh, completely
One-sided. Of
yeah.
course, we won't do that. But
So,
yes, you cannot change your stance once you've picked it before
yeah.
the motion
Okay.
is seen. You can't change it.
So if
And
you think that something is one side, just take a step back and think outside the box. It'll take you a second to figure it out, but I think it's good for
Look, there's a
practice.
one. Yeah, this is important in the debate. If there's a one-sided motion, sometimes, guys, all you have to do is present the few arguments that you have with a lot of confidence and a lot of statistics. That totally impresses the adjudicator because we know what motions we're giving, and we research on both sides before giving the motions. We know what's difficult, what's not. So yes, you just have to be very confident with the material that you have at that point of time.
Okay.
and
Thank you.
also solely for this reason, if you decide to practice debates before a competition, we suggest that you take a topic and practice both sides to it, the proposition and the opposition, not just the one that feels easy, that the proposition is easy, let me just do this. But you should practice both of them so that you don't face any problems like this in the actual competition. um Ritesh, did you
I
have a
have a
question?
doubt. Can I speak?
Yes, Jaskirat.
If we won the whole debate, then what would happen then?
Okay, so usually in the competitions, in parliamentary debate competitions, what happens is that each team uh, has three debates. Okay, you will have three debates no matter you win or not. And then at the end of the day, all the scores of all the teams are calculated, and then a certain amount of teams qualify for the next day. And then it depends if the next day is quarterfinals, semi-finals, then the ones that lose will be eliminated and the ones that win will go forward.
Also
But
keep in mind, there's a very general idea, like different competitions can have like different stuff, like different
We
formats, but
have a
yes,
ideally.
ma'am, we have a stream also for this that we can see on YouTube for it.
So,
Uh,
we haven't live streamed as of yet, but we might be sharing the recording with you and the PPT maybe. So we'll get back to you in a
on the
second
YouTube.
towards the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Sanvi, you can quickly ask your question. Yes. So what's the total score on which, out of which we are given marks on out of which we are given marks on every argument we do? Okay, so in a scoring sheet, the one that we make here, there's a lot of different criteria. There's body lingo, there's fluency, there's content, all of that stuff. So we haven't yet decided the score as of now because it keeps changing depending on what we want more. But you need to keep in mind that the criteria is body language, fluency, your content. All of that will make a change, not just a good content. If you have a good content and you're just coming there and just be like, you're saying the whole debate and there's no voice modulation, then we'll obviously just give you marks for the content. But there's four other groups. So you have to focus on everything, be an all-rounder, and then leave the scoring to us. Oh, don't worry about that. Okay, guys, we'll move on. We have a few slides left, and then we have another questionnaire, so we can quickly move on to that, I think. If
I
Sheetal,
think
you have a
let's just
question,
take
Sheetal is
one
left.
more question. Yeah.
Yeah, Sheetal, you can go. Sheetal.
Sheetal?
Okay, I think we can move on. If
Never mind, let's start. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we sincerely hope that all these tips helped you as a debater in one way or the other. Now, for you to practice all that you have learned today, we Vox Populi are organizing a parliamentary debate competition in June itself. The competition will begin on 13th of June, where we will start with a small opening ceremony. In this ceremony, we will brief you about the few rules and regulations of the competition. After the ceremony, each team will participate in 3 debates. These debates will last for 1 hour each, with 15 to 20 minutes breaks in between them. The first day of the competition will end right after your third debate.
All right. On the evening of day one, you will receive an email or even a text message in the main Vox Populi group confirming whether or not you have qualified for the next round. It's a myth that you won't qualify if you lose all 3 debates. You just have to put your best foot forward, and based on your scores, you might even qualify if you lose a few first debates. Day two begins with knockout rounds and ends with the finals. We have a special provision for everyone to witness the finals. So we'll share a link to that meeting so everyone can spectate. On day three, there is solely one thing on the agenda, the closing ceremony. Prizes like gift cards will be bestowed upon the winners, and even in a few fun and mysterious Vox Populi special categories. A certificate of participation is given to all the participants, and a merit certificate is given to the top performers. We hope to see you all there. Brings us to the end of our workshop. We're still open to any questions.
Can you show the schedule slide once please?
The which slide?
Schedule slide?
schedule
Sure.
slide.
Yeah.
Are you asking for this one or are you asking for the detailed version? Yeah, this one.
Yeah, this one.
Okay, great.
All right, we have Astha Sethi. Astha, you can ask your question.
Yeah, I'm Yadvi. Actually, I wanted to ask about the there will be 3 days the debate will be, and each day will have 3 debates.
No. There will only be 2 days where you guys will debate. On the first day, there will be 3 debates, and second day depends if you qualify or not. So at the end of day one in the evening, you guys will receive an email which will contain the information as to if you have qualified for day two or not. And then day two will have quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then finals. And the the link to the finals will be shared to everyone. So even if you are not a debater in the finals, you can join the meeting and spectate the finals. And on day three, we will only have the closing ceremony in which we will tell all of you your merit, your position, and have a little fun with each other.
Okay, thank you.
Guys, also, I think it's not mentioned here, but we have mentioned all of this in the form. The debating competition is in 2 divisions. The junior division is from 6th to 7th for students from 6th to 7th, and the senior division 8th to 9th. So you don't have to worry if you're in 6th grade, you won't be competing with 9th graders. So it's completely all right. Don't be afraid of that. And another thing is, We have, if anyone will register after this workshop, which we hope you will, we have a WhatsApp group linked to the end of the form. And last time, many of the people forgot to join that group. That is the main group for the debate, June round 2022. And we need all of you to join that if you're participating in the debate. Everything from your matchups to your results will be discussed in that group itself.
We have to message you if we want to join
Yes, of course.
Yes, you can.
You can message us, or you can leave. We leave our contacts in the chat box right now.
And if
And
you
you can
guys
reach out
can't find a team, if you are an individual and you want a team, so you can also text us. We will find you a team. We will set you guys up, and you can form a team together.
Yes, all the
Uh,
admins of the Vox Populi workshop group, all of those people are who you can reach out to if you want to participate or have a question. And so, yes, if you want to participate, which you should, please reach out to us. We're the admins of that group. You can text any one of us.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
I just wanted that other debates are going to be online, or we have to come to a particular place for it.
It's online. All the debates will take place through this platform, Google Meet, and everything is online. We don't
the
do
entire
online
competition
yet.
is online.
Yeah.
And
Everything.
ma'am, what about the teams? So how are we going to be assigned the teams, or we have to select own members of our own?
You can form your own teams, but if you can't find a team, then you can reach out to us and we can set you up with other people who can't find teams, and then you can form teams together. And also, guys, remember that there is an option for 2-member teams. Just in that case, one person will have to go twice. For example, if I am person X and I have another member in my team, person Y, and if I go as the first speaker, the person Y will go as the second speaker, and I will have to go again as the third speaker.
Guys, we suggest you all to form your own teams because no debating competition organizers, they don't form your teams. However, if you're not able to find a team and you really want to participate, then you can reach out to us and we'll figure something out. But before that, just try finding, it's just 2 more friends. If you're one of them, just convince 2 friends that you can come together. It's a fun experience. It's a very important experience. So it's easy to find 3 people. It's not a big deal. However, if you're still not able to find a team, you can obviously reach out to us.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can one of us fill the form, or all the students in the team have to fill the form? Because
The form requires the information of all the team members, but the form will be filled only through one device.
okay, ma'am.
So you will, if you are filling the form for your team, so you will have to fill the information of all the members of the team.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, can we leave? Question.
Jaskirat, go ahead. Jaskirat.
Ma'am, can we leave?
Can we?
Can we leave?
Yeah, of course you can.
Can you
leave.
leave? Yeah.
Ma'am, I have one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
Ma'am, is it necessary that the person we are selecting for our debate group should be in the group itself, the WhatsApp group, or it can be a personal friend also?
It can be anybody.
There's no
So,
problem with that.
if you don't have a group already, if you don't have a team already, like we said, we'll suggest you to get like 2 of your friends with you and you form a team. Now, these friends can be from your society, they can be from your school, they can be from your condo, whatever works for you. And after you've registered, you can join the group chat.
Okay, ma'am.
Excuse me.
Ma'am.
Yes, Haravi.
How many teams will be qualifying for the second day?
It'll depend on the number of participation, number of teams we get registered. So our last day to register is 11th June. So once the registrations close, then we'll have to look at how many teams there and how many we plan to qualify. It'll have to be decided as of yet. So it's not as yet decided.
Okay,
Guys,
thanks.
the last date to register is 11th of June. But we do suggest you all to register. If you want to register for this debate competition, you should do it as soon as possible. And if you need help signing up the form, or if there's any problem, please feel free to reach out to us at any point of time. Apart from that, Another thing is that this debating competition is completely free of cost. You won't find many that don't charge a fee, and we're just doing this so that all the students, the younger ones, are, they can face public speaking. It's very important for your life. Take it from a 12th grader. You need public speaking in your life, and so just be confident. There's no winning or losing here. This is your first time, probably if you're in sixth grade, you should totally participate. And rest, I can't force you. If anyone has any other questions, if not, we can end the workshop.
Ma'am, will you send this recording?
This recording will be posted on our YouTube channel in a few minutes. We'll try to post it as soon as possible, and we will share the link of our YouTube channel in the subgroup itself.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right, do we have any other questions related to just debating apart from the competition? You can always DM us, ask us other questions. We're free most of the time, and we'll answer your queries. If we don't have any other questions, you can leave the meeting. This is the end. Thank you for joining in.
Bye, guys. We hope to see you at the competition.
Yeah,
Thank
totally.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.